Hi there. So a couple of weeks ago, I implemented the first iteration of my tool JStall, and it's essentially a basic tool that you see here on the GitHub page that answers the question, what is my Java application doing right now? So it essentially detects stat logs using thread dumps, and essentially my idea is you take a thread dump at point in time A, and then wait for, I don't know, 5 seconds, then get another thread dump, and then you pass these thread dumps and compare them with each other to see, oh, are there deadlocks? Are there any threads doing a lot of work? Are there threads doing no work at all? And JStall then does some analysis thing on them and gives you some information. And you see it here, it's on GitHub, it's MIT licensed, it's one of the tools that I develop as part of my work at Submachine, and that helps hopefully in the future our stakeholders in finding solutions for simple problems, or at least finding out why the JVM is currently stalling and what's the application doing. And it has a few cool features. As I said, it can detect like deadlocks because breadcrumbs contain deadlocks. It can obtain you some flame graphs. It can show you waiting threads, categorize threads, and so on. And that's pretty cool. And one thing I want to do today is implement a new feature with you, to show you essentially how my workflow works. Um, because I try to combine reasoning that I do my own together with AI tooling to make it slightly faster, so that I don't spend my time just doing all the work parsing simple data structures and output of commands, but use my time to think about new things to implement here, about new cool analysis and new things that help. And one thing that I came up with, not myself, but that a colleague came up with, was sometimes when you have a JVM, you just need you want to know, like, hey, what's going wrong, but what's actually going wrong is that you use an outdated JVM, especially essentially a JVM that isn't supported anymore, or and that is superseded by new JVM version, that might be fixing some issues, might also be fixing known performance issues. And so when our JVM released, you see it here, that's a release schedule archive, in this case for JK11U. You see that I released regularly. For example, here there was in June, one in March, and one in December. And especially for newer versions, you get a pattern. And JK11 isn't supported anymore. You see it here. Please don't use JDK11 anymore. But if we take a look at the more recent and supported JVM that you should use, and one of the two of the maintainers are actually team members, so yay. Congratulate them for doing all the cool work here. But what you see here, that there was a release on January, so please update if you haven't already. Then there was one, oh no, that was the, no, was wrong. That's only the general availability, but oh yes. And then there was one in, then there will be one in April, then there will be one in July. So you see, every 3 months there will be a new release. So essentially, what we can do now is we can write a small addition to JStall that checks the version, and if the version is older than 3 months, let us give some leeway that don't want too often. So let's see, 4 months. Then we warn you and say, hey, by the way, that might be an outdated JVM that you're using, please update. The cool thing is now that when you use it on JVM, it automatically then be warning you about this, and you don't have to be worrying that your bugs are only, or yeah, that your issues are only related to an outdated version. So let's start to implement it. So um, I've opened here already my JStall code, and it's just the current one that's available. And what we do now, we check out how to get a Java version, because when we just type in Java minus version, we get this information. It clearly shows here that it's an outdated JVM. For a reason, because I chose outdated, so we see something. Okay, and what are we doing now? We check by J command, because we can't really do Java minus version on a tool like JStall, because JStall needs to be pointed to a JVM. And let's show me how it should work. Let's point it to an JetBrains IntelliJ tool, because of course there's an IntelliJ running here. Takes a process ID and then essentially uses J command internally. So let's see, you might have spotted new features, not so ready, but here are the features that you can already find in the main build. And you see here that we get some information from the thread dumps. Now we can't, of course, just call Java minus version on the JVM. So there are multiple options. I actually made a blog post on this topic, how to get like the version string, but we want to stick with J command. We don't want to do any sort of performance optimizations. The only problem is when we use J command with VM version, which is the command there, we only get this string. So see the comparison with like Java minus version, we don't get the build NTE. And by the way, this build version and build 8, this is common across all the JVMs. I tested also with GraalVM. So how do we get it? I digged a little bit deeper and saw that we have the system properties, because the Java version is a system property. So let's see. When we now ask it for a system property, we get some information, and we should also get some version date here. The thing is, of course, I could write now parser and whatever, but essentially what I want to do is, here's our thread dump snapshot, essentially contains all the information on the snapshot. And I want to write a tool that essentially is able to pass this property definition, put it in here, and then we can write like an analysis to implement it properly and to analyze it. And so what I'm doing here now, I'm using the GPT-5.2 model with GitHub Copilot, and let's give it a plan. And first, what I usually do, I write down what I know and tell the GitHub Copilot to do uh, that, and it works really well. Of course, we later will look over the code and probably fix some issues in there and make it more readable. So never commit AI code directly. It's, you should usually review it anyway. But we tell it like write update breakdown snapshot and its generation to include also J command and what's it called? J command system properties. You see, I'm not the fastest typer, but yeah, I'm not doing that much typing later. So yeah, we say it includes and I'll give it a sample line information here that it knows how it looks like. Parse it as a map. And we also tell it to ignore the header. And essentially what I'm doing, I'm writing down the notes that I would do for myself anyway, when I would be coding this. So parse it as a map, ignore the header, and let's see how it goes. It will take a bit, but let's see. And the cool thing here now is that it first does a plan, and I can review the plan and like interject. Of course, it doesn't prompt me to agree to a plan, but now reads all the files. And let's see, and the cool thing here is normally I would do the parsing, I would do the add to thread snapshot, and yeah, it's slightly annoying. It's cool that nowadays technology can do this. Of course, in these small examples, it wouldn't have been that much. It's not that much of time saving because it's fast. But you see here, it already does this. Okay, created me a J command output parser. That's nice. Would probably like to rename it because it's like only specific to this property format. Let's see what it did here. Oh, cool! And it added me to my diagnostics helper. It added me the system properties here to call them, and fingers crossed is actually the mbean command. So you can either use to obtain JCommand results, either use the JCommand tool, but it's wasteful to start up another JVM. So what I'm essentially doing, I'm using JMX beans. They work quite well. It offers me here parser test. It also shows that it's quite lenient, so it passes more. This is not totally necessary, but it helps. So cool. It now has to update all the tests. It essentially got told by IntelliJ like, hey, there are still errors lying around. Of course, this should be later updated to something like a builder pattern. Now let's check. And what we found here is that the JCommand output parser should be renamed JCommand. I can probably just do this by hand, because usually I also use the IDE's feature whenever I can, because it's deterministic. So let's say JCommand property output. Oh no, I don't need to, because of course it's a static method. It's cool when sometimes you misread it, but yeah, it definitely works. Anyway, let's see whether it worked. The test run. Okay, what I now want to do is want to take a look. It includes the system properties. That's cool. And so what I then do is add an analysis to check that the JVM's release date is not older than 4 months. And so error is totally outdated older than a year. So I'm now just describing, hey, what should I do? And here say, hey, please, just throw an error if it's older than here. Please don't use too old JVMs. And I tell it edit also to the status command, but emit nothing if JVM is young enough. Therefore, so I even did the typo, but but LLM doesn't care. So let's check how it goes. And yeah, if we alongside just look at the code, I probably would have written something like it's nothing complicated. use a linked hash map probably because appending is slightly faster. But I could question LLM later. Yeah, and it handles error cases quite well. That's fine. So let's check what it did. It implemented the analyzer interface. That's something that I wrote, and it essentially can analyze dumps with raw, and it sees they can just get not this, but it sees that it gets the first dump because all the dumps should have the same release version. Then it properly passes the version date, try to pass it, and then gets these version things, and then the message is outdated, detected vendor recommendation, typically released within the last month. They are released within the last 3 months, but it takes some time to release the JDKs also for JVM vendors. And then if it's before 1 year, it even returns an exit code, because I'm like, this JStall should definitely fail then, but yeah, we don't want to create too much noise. And yeah, it here prettifies the age. That's cool. Now let's see. It also generated a test. That's cool. It paused it, and yeah, let's see. Here it failed. Yeah, but that's just because. Am I faster than the LM? Let's see. Oh, just change it to a different method. Let's just check. And it even added it to the status analyzer, which is pretty nice. So now what I find really cool is that before is that I can now focus on like having a new idea and implementing it without like all the coding stuff, because I like having ideas. I don't like writing simple line parsers. Cool. And what even notes it even notes for it implemented. Let's give it a try. Let's build a package and throw it onto something. Let's first throw it onto the JVM that's currently running IntelliJ. It should be deemed proper. Let's check. There's nothing in here. No, I don't see anything, so that's good. Well, I hope I see something in a bit. I think I have some hello world lying around. Let's that should sleep for 5 minutes, so at least we see it. That's cool. Let's just make it Java again. So let's run this Java hello. And remember, this is an old JVM, so this should be an outdated one. Yeah. Java hello dot Java. Yay. And we should see it. And here, yeah, it says JVM support. JVM looks outdated based on Java version date. It's 3 months old. It's 4 months old. And here we see a bug. Nah, it's not more 4 months. It's not 4 months old. So I'm telling the JVM, hey, please fix. But yeah, the recommendation looks as expected. Gives me all the information that I probably need. What I also want to just shortly check is, do I get the URL. Sometimes I think there's the URL of the vendor. No, I don't get the proper one. Because the vendor is JetBrains and needs some JK, but it's fine. Now it edited the support and interesting. And the pretty age. Oh, interesting. It just rewrote the pretty age. Yeah, that was bug. So see, I'm testing it. I'm essentially reiterating um, the code and iterating over it. Now it runs the test to check that everything's well. That looks good. And let's try it again. Oh no, I need to, do I have the, yes, I have the hello program still running. Yeah, it shows me clearly, oh, I was wrong. Oh yeah, it's 4 months and 24 days old. And they detect, and that's fine. And the cool thing is now I just need to update the README. That's kind of boring. Especially because this README here is so implemented in a way that, for example, all the help output is put in by some updater script. By the way, let's see the support. Let's see whether there is an extra command. Okay, the thing is normally analysis have also some commands, so we need to edit so that we can say JStall JVM support. So let's edit. Add JVM support. Yeah. And we're almost there. So this is the way I implement features in JSON. Especially for these smaller features, it works quite well. And essentially, I get them from the idea for a feature to the implementation of a feature is a matter of not minutes, but it's a matter of tens of minutes. After I build up all the infrastructure. So I think what makes JStall really well suitable for this use case is that I have a full infrastructure already there. I have well-defined interfaces. I have some tests, and it's just harder for the LLM to do something wrong. So here we have the JVM support command. It doesn't have any options because fine, it just checks the JVM support. And then it should add the readme, because now it's just says that it's a support check as part of that here. List JVM support here, and let's see, and yeah, here. This is just copied from below, but as I said, it's directly copied by calling JVM, by calling the version L JStall minus alpha. So anyway, let's try it again. Here we have the JVM support. Now, let's call it JVM support. Let's help. Oh, and an interesting part is we found a bug in analyzer command. Oh no, we didn't. So here it says base analyzer command. So we already have all the options that every other analyzer has. That could be later modified, but it's fine. That's the price for making something composable. Anyway, that's how I implement a feature. And I can even commit it, git commit, and I should add it to the change log because please people keep a change log. At JVM port command by the JVM is out is if the JVM is outdated. Yeah, cool. At now we committed at JVM's port and we push it. Push. So that's all. You can find it now in the JStall GitHub repository. So when we update this, and now we have JVM support checks. Yay! And of course I would then probably release in a minor release, patch release, next 4 days. So we have it. So that's my workflow. Thanks for coming along, and see you maybe in another blog post on my blog, or see you somewhere else. Have a nice day.